Well, good morning all.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. I'm just waiting for others to join us.
Thank you, Tom, for taking the time to set this all up.
It's really Morris was the driving force. I'm just the instrument he's using.
Well, we couldn't do without you.
That's what I keep telling Wilma.
Well, she knows that.
Hi there.
Good morning, Barbara.
This is Barbara.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't, whoops, got someone else waiting. Bear with me whilst I do all this because this is my first time. Right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Another 3 people to come.
Chloe said she was joining us. I saw her last evening.
Sorry, who's that?
Chloe Dutton.
Yep, I've got her on my list. And Chloe's correcting just now.
Good.
Whoop.
There she is, with her fingers in her mouth.
Now, I think I know just about everyone. Morning, Sue. I've got 2 people still coming online. I'm sorry, there's a gentleman whose iPad is called Helen's iPad. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. You're
It's
wearing
not Helen.
white Aran type top. Yeah, your hand at your mouth just now. Nope. Is there anyone who can't hear me, or is that a silly question? Because if you can't hear me,
Put your volume
You're
up.
in trouble.
Put your volume up. Tip your screen down, Chloe. That's a bit better. There.
Roswitha, good morning. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm expecting 12 attendees plus myself this morning, which is unlucky 13.
Uh-oh.
They're still in bed.
I wish I were.
Have you got me, Tom?
Yeah.
I have indeed, yep.
Good.
But I don't have a picture for you, Roswitha. Trish,
What's the feature?
Pardon?
I have no picture for
I'm on
Roswitha,
my iPad.
not Trish.
Hang on. I've never done this before, so I'm clicking on all the things.
There you are.
You
That's
there?
good. Trish, we're still waiting for you.
Also new at this, but so far seem connected.
Gentleman who's just taken his glasses off and said, hello, good morning. Could you tell me who you are, please?
It's you, Tom.
Hello, Jan. Hello, Brenda.
Can you tell Tom who you are?
I couldn't get the sound. I've got the sound now.
Okay, that's good. What's your name, please?
Tom Brown.
Oh, Tom, yes, I did see you pop up earlier.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know me, but I know you.
That's worrying, definitely worrying.
Mhm.
Trish, I'm still not getting anything from you.
Sorry?
That's okay. There's a lady called Trish who,
Oh,
Trish Penny,
all
who
right.
hasn't been able to get a picture up.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, well, we are limited to 30 minutes today. I shall give it a few more seconds to see if anyone else joins, and then I'll start.
Well, that's good because I've got a hot date at 11 o'clock.
Oh, wow, can I
Lucky
join?
Right. Tom Brown.
Yes.
I've got a Tom Brown and I've got a Tom and Helen Brown from 2 different angles.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I'm using her iPad, actually, not my iPhone.
That's fine. You're just on the iPad now.
It's just me. Helen is.
That's perfect.
What did you say, dear?
That's perfect. Oh, sorry.
She's listening.
I'll come and wave.
She'll-
I'll come and wave at you.
Hello,
Hello.
Helen.
I'll wait back.
Hello,
Hi there.
Helen.
I think Chris Penny is having difficulty because she's still trying to connect. We have one or two people who clearly haven't made it, but that's okay. I think we've got quality here rather than quantity, which is the best thing.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I like to think so.
Where is the
Standard
mute,
Zoom- Sorry.
I can't do it.
where is the mute button? I haven't got a mute button.
Down
Right,
on
if
your
you
left.
move your mouse around, you will find some
the black-
controls come up on the bottom of the
Oh, I
screen.
got it. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
There's a
Thank you.
camera and a microphone there.
Thank you. It's the
Brenda?
first time I've done this. Yeah.
Brenda, can you do me
See?
a favour? Can you shut
Yeah.
up and let me run the meeting?
Okay,
As I keep talking over you. Please?
bien.
Good. Right, everyone, we're going to begin. Tom, you are connecting to audio again on your phone, as well as being on the iPad.
Yeah, I'll just switch it off.
Yeah, just switch it off. Sorry, yeah.
That's
Okay.
it. That's good. Okay. Right. Well, welcome, everyone. Can you all hear me? Is everyone's voice working?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah. As I said, if you can't hear me, just let me know. Okay. Sadly, Maurice is unable to be with us today, but we do have, what, 10 people or so here too. So that's really good. Zoom limit us to an initial 30 minutes, so we'll try and get through it. I think Zoom will allow us an extra 10 minutes if we overrun. I'm absolutely happy to try and answer any questions as we go along, but if I think an issue is going to take too long to answer, or if it's going to disrupt the flow of proceedings, or if I don't know the answer, I'll defer it for later. This session arose from a member's query about organising his photos. Maurice, who was the inspiration behind this session today, thought it'd be a good idea to share that knowledge. In truth, what we're talking about photos today, it applies equally well to any of your personal file types, like documents, videos, and so on. For myself, once I finished sorting out my photos, I moved on to my videos. I'm now working my way through my ebooks. So the general principles are fairly applicable widely. Of course, I've just said I finished doing my photos. I suspect it's a never-ending task. You'll find that out, I'm sure. Of course, automated tools and such like can only take you so far. Eventually, you do have to get down and get your hands dirty, look at the files you have, make decisions about them, and decide what you're going to do. And each file type seems to pose a different challenge. You have different questions arising from photos, from documents, from ebooks in particular seem to be a nightmare. There are many ways to approach this kind of task. None of them are right, none of them are wrong. Just you do whatever you think is best and which suits you best, fits in with your way of working. First off, there's some things you need to think about. What is it you want to achieve? Do you want to reduce the amount of space, whatever kind of file type it is, your photos say, use on disk? Do you want to make it easier to find specific files? Do you keep losing things? Do you have lots of duplicates and perhaps don't even know where everything is? That's your strategic objective. Let's fall back into corporate speak for a moment. Your strategic objective is to know what your aim is. I saw Barbara nodding away when I said eliminate duplicates. Barbara, if it's any comfort to you, I managed to remove 2,500 duplicates.
Whoa.
My machine. Trish Penny has just joined us, I think, with a bit of luck. So, another consideration, especially when you're thinking about photos. Morning, Trish. Glad you could make it. Yeah, morning, Trish. Good.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm
You've
here
just
now.
you've just missed my few words of welcome. Something else to
Tom,
think about.
Can I interrupt a moment? If everybody mutes their microphone, your sound quality will be better.
Okay, shall we try that?
Hang on.
It's good as it is.
I take it then, Sue, my sound quality wasn't very good. Or is it my Scottish accent?
No, it's not your accent. It's lovely, but there's a lot of background noise from shufflings and things that are going on in other people's rooms, which we could cut out completely.
Okay, right. Hopefully we're all mute now. Something else to think about, especially with photos, is where are you actually going to store your photos? What's your primary place for your photos? They could be on your desktop PC, a laptop, tablet, on your phone, somewhere in the cloud. That's where part of the confusion comes in and where duplicates arise, because there's so many different places to keep photos. For myself, I decided my desktop PC was going to be my primary place for photos. Everything else was going to be secondary. So my first step was to bring everything into my desktop PC and not worry about what was left out there, come back and fix that later. Next, you really want to think about how you're going to organize your storage of, in this case, photos. Your folder structure. For example, you may have lots of different holidays you've had with photos from each of these holidays. So you may want to have a holidays folder, a subfolder, a holiday in the Greek islands, holiday in Florida, blah, 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 all these kinds of things. One thing I would say to you is don't be shy about giving your folders fully descriptive names. Visit to Scotland to see the family at Christmas 2005 is perfectly acceptable. Long file names don't cost you anything extra. And when you're looking for stuff, it can make it so much easier to find things. You can have a total of 256 characters in a file name, which is the folder, subfolder, the eventual file name. So you've actually got quite a lot of space to play with. I chose to create a lot of folders. I now have 434 folders in my pictures library, containing about 18,000 photos. But that's a lifetime's photos, let's be fair. One of our JCC committee members doesn't like my approach. He suggests a better approach is to actually say, these are all the photos I took in the month of April 2020, and create a folder called April 2020. And then if he wants to find something and he knows it happened around about March, April, May of 2020, he goes off and looks in the relevant folders. It's up to you. It's whatever works for yourself. For me, having lots of folders, lots of subfolders with descriptive names makes life so much simpler. So for our purposes, let's assume you've sucked in all your photos from all the different places they could be living, and they're now on your desktop PC or laptop, or wherever it may be that you've decided you're going to keep all your photos. To me, what we're going to do falls logically into three separate areas. Actually doing the work, looking at your photos, moving them around into the folder structure you want, so that things can be found again. The primary tool here is File Explorer, which comes with your Windows 10 machine. Tom, I don't think we made it clear. I see you're using an iPad. I don't think we made it clear that this is about Windows 10. You too, Barbara. Hopefully there are
I've got my Windows 10 on here at the side of me.
That's good. Okay. It's really using tools within Windows 10. It's a note to me for the future to make that clearer. So we actually do the work. We use File Explorer to make some kind of sense of all the stuff we have. We identify duplicate files. Now, when I sent out the initial information about this, I had lots of queries about how do you identify duplicate files. I use a tool called Search My Files. And just like File Explorer, it's a free tool. But I would highly recommend Search My Files. It's very effective. And as I say, it's free. The other thing which comes up, the third part of the work, is backing up the changes you've made. Can't be anything worse than to spend, say, 6 hours one day sorting out your photos, and the next day you have a major problem and you don't have a backup. You have to start all over again. In fact, I find it useful to back up as I went along. So each time I made a major change, I would take a backup, and we'll talk about how to do that. Depending on how you do your backups, that is also can be more or less free. So I'm now going to switch on screen sharing on this laptop, and I'm going to start up File Explorer. Excuse me. I've created a temporary folder on this laptop with some pictures, so I can show you some of the techniques that you can possibly use. Okay. Now, hopefully you can see a screen now. For myself, oh, David Robinson's entered. Now, can you all see my File Explorer? No?
Yep,
Yeah?
yep.
Is there anyone
Yeah.
who doesn't have my File Explorer with a big black mouse moving around? Okay, I'm going to proceed then on the assumption you've all got it. You may have a strip of pictures down the right-hand side showing the people in the conference. If you move to the top of that strip, you'll see you have 4 buttons, a small dash, a bigger block, 2 blocks, and then a set of 9 dots. If you click on the small one, you can actually minimize that picture of the other attendees. Okay? Right. This is File Explorer. One thing which confuses some people is File Explorer has 2 views. Up in the right-hand side here, you see the upside down arrow. That controls whether or not the ribbon of controls is available. Hopefully you can see that changing as I click it. This ribbon bar is also context sensitive, so the options which come along the top here are different depending where you are. If I open up my local disk C, you'll see the options have now changed to be something different. And I'm going to go to the temporary folder I've created, Tom's Pictures. Isn't that a good way of naming it? Now, what I have here is a subset of my main pictures library just created for today, and you'll see the kind of descriptive names I've used. One of the very useful features of File Explorer is you can switch on these checkboxes at the side here. And that makes, if you're the kind of person who isn't very good with a mouse or you have problems of dexterity, you can switch on these checkboxes and actually check or uncheck a box, which makes things so much easier when you're moving files around. To do that, you want to go to View, Options, Change Folder and Search Options, View again, and then you see down this list, use checkboxes to select items. Okay. If I'm going too fast or I'm getting too confusing, just sing out. Another great feature of File Explorer, and this is true actually of most Windows on Windows, is if you go to the title bar, this area at the top, left click it and drag it across to the middle of the screen, you will get a smaller version. If you do it correctly, which I didn't, it goes into the middle and you get half the page. Now, it's quite possible to have 2 copies of File Explorer running at the one time. So if I go down to the File Explorer icon in the bottom taskbar, okay, you see where I am now? Right, click on it. I can start up File Explorer again. And I can do the same drag operation. And I now have 2 side-by-side versions of File Explorer. Why would I want to do this? Well, if I go back into my test folder here, Tom's Pictures, I might want to create a new folder. Now I've got an icon at the top here, you see it, new folder. I click that and it comes up already selected for me and I can just type what I want to call it. And I press enter and I now have a folder called temp folder for Zoom. I can now go into one of my other folders, select, using these checkboxes if necessary, whichever pictures I want, and then simply drag them across and drop them into temp folder. which could be whatever folder I wanted to call that, of course, whatever name I liked. Another useful feature, and it's not so good in such a small screen as this laptop, but is the View tab at the top of the screen has lots of options. You have extra large icons where you can really see what the picture's about. Large icons, medium-sized icons, small icons, which I don't think are much use to anyone, a list of all the files, and this one, details, is really quite useful. If I make this window back full size again, you can see it tells me the file name, the date, the type of file, and how big it is. And if you're actually trying to identify a specific photograph, that can be very useful, especially if you switch on the details pane. You see where I am now in the top left-hand corner. Select a file. I've got date taken, what size it is, etc., etc. It was taken with our Nikon Cool Pics and lots of technical information about the picture. That is quite good. Once again, this kind of information is context specific. If I were, say, looking at a music file here, the information that came up here would relate to the music file. Now, is this new to you, or did you all know this anyway?
Oh. I know nothing.
Okay.
No, the detail thing is all new. I've not seen the detail before.
Right. I'm going to switch that back off because I'm working with a small screen and I don't really have much space to play with. I'm going to go back to my two screens together again. A very useful pair of facilities, which a lot of people don't know about. And once again, this is generic Windows. Say I realized I wanted file 692, 695, 698 across into my temp ones, but I didn't want 687. I can actually select these files individually and drag those ones across. And I'll just do those three. If I wanted all of those files from there down to there, if I hold down the Shift key while I do this, everything in between is selected and I can drag them across en masse. The final thing I want to show you, sorry, fire away.
Now you've got duplicates in that temp file.
No, I haven't, but I'll come back to that in a moment, but I promise you I haven't. These are silly file names because the camera just names them like that. First of all, it wouldn't allow me to create a second copy of a file. If I open up the temp folder, and it's hard to tell, but I promise you there are no duplicates in there. If I'd actually tried to take a second copy of a file across, I'd have got an error message. The third thing is, and this is what I was going to talk about next, is that, let me go back to the general view of the temp folder. When I click on a file here on the left-hand side and drag it across to the right, I get a warning message up. Can you see it in sort of pale blue? Move to temp folder for Zoom. So I'm actually taking the file from the left-hand side and putting it into that folder on the right. Now, let's imagine I didn't want to actually move it. I actually just wanted a copy of it. So at the moment, all the files I've moved no longer exist on the left-hand side. They're all in the right-hand side. And I realize here I'm pointing with my finger at the screen, which isn't much good to you guys, I suspect. If I wanted to copy that file, instead of moving it, if I hold down the control button and drag it across, you see it now says copy to. I'll put a copy of that file in there. So if I go into this folder now, picture 711, I'll go up here to view, I'll say I want details. You see that picture 711 now exists in there. If I go back across to the left-hand side and say I want to copy it again into that same folder, you notice I now get an error message. That's how I knew there was no duplicates, because if I was trying to duplicate a file, it would have come up with this warning message. Pardon me. So that's some techniques for moving stuff around. How are we doing for time? Okay. Believe it or not, we've only got 8 minutes left.
Tom, I didn't follow how you split the screen like that. I understand about opening 2 file explorers, but I don't understand how to make them in
Okay, let's just go back.
big on the screen.
Let's just go back to that then. So I'll go down to the taskbar at the bottom and I open File Explorer, and by default it'll open up wherever it was last time. If I move to the title bar, which is the blank area at the top here, I'd simply hold down the left button and drag that across to the left-hand boundary. It automatically goes half the screen. I then repeat it, open up File Explorer again. Oops, Zoom is telling me that there's an update. So sorry, I should have shown you how to do that. Go to the icon for File Explorer, right click on it and select File Explorer again. And I can now take that across to the right-hand side of the screen. Because I had an update came up from Zoom, I have to click on the other File Explorer window, and I now have 2 of them side by side. Okay.
Thank you. Yep, smooth. Thank you.
Time is rushing away with us. I promised to talk about several things, but what I want to talk about just now is, and I'm going to go back to the proper view. No, I can't do that. Okay, let me just talk to you for a second then. Is there anyone who has photos on their phone, whether it's an Android or an Apple or whatever? Do you keep photos on your phone?
Yes, that's one of my problems, yes.
Okay, I have an Android phone from Samsung, and I had something like 2,500 photos which had accumulated there over the last 6 years. Does this sound familiar?
Yes.
I had things like, I had photos of my feet that I'd taken by accident.
Yes.
Photos of price tags in shops, etc., etc. But I actually did also have lots of things I wanted to keep. My solution, and this could almost do a session in its own right, is with Samsung Android, anything that goes into the gallery, i.e. any photographs I take on that phone, I can set it up to automatically send them out to the cloud. In my case, that's OneDrive. So I now have a copy of all the photos on my phone, a copy on OneDrive on the cloud. But OneDrive, I have set up to sync with my desktop PC. So the next time I switch my desktop PC on, OneDrive detects that there are new photos on its store out in the cloud and automatically synchronizes these onto my desktop PC. And then once I've got them on the desktop PC, it's dead easy to go through them and say, well, that photograph of my feet I don't want. Oh yes, it's one of my grandchildren I'll keep, and I'll move it into a folder named Jack and Emily, a photo I took in the summer of 2020. Or well, couldn't be 2020, could it? We haven't been allowed to go anywhere. But you get the idea. And with my Samsung Android, I can actually say, once it's copied a photo out to the cloud, remove it from the phone so I don't get a build-up of photos there. Now, I'm talking specifically about Samsung Android, no experience with any other versions of Android or with Apple, but I would be absolutely staggered if it wasn't possible to achieve the same thing with any smartphone. That's something to think about. Okay, backup. Backup's quite important. Everyone takes regular backups all the time, don't they?
Oh, yes.
Right. A simple way to handle this is to acquire a flash drive. For the purposes of this talk anyway, acquire a flash drive, go to the folder that you're working on, in my case, Tom's Pictures. Now, if I come back a level, I need to plug in a flash drive, just bear with me a second. So I here have a 64 gig flash drive, which I think cost me about 25 euros. A 32 gig one I know costs less than 10 euros nowadays. Oh, they've removed the 40-minute time limit on my group meeting. I've just had a message from Zoom. That's interesting. So can you now see my flash drive here that's got one file on it called Kindle for PC?
Yes.
I can do the same trick of holding the left button down on the title bar, dragging it to the side of the screen, and I have Tom Pictures over here. Now, if I simply click on Tom's Pictures and drag it across here, it says copy to Tom Stevenson spare 64 gigabyte, which is my flash drive.
Wow.
And I now have a back, or I will have in a few minutes, pardon me, of what I've been doing in Tom's Pictures on my flash drive. And that's great. So if in a minute or two I screw something up, I can go back to that copy and start again. However, if you were doing this regularly, I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to wait too long. If I do some work tomorrow and I want to take another backup and I say copy it across again, it's actually going to merge what isn't being copied first time, the second time. And eventually it will come up with a message saying, wait a minute, I've already got a copy of these photos on this flash drive. What do you want me to do? So the smarter thing to do, and this is complicated, I understand that, it's not straightforward, but if you want to take a backup, don't just do what I did, we'll get rid of that. So it's now just emptying out that file. And go to new folder. Remember the new folder we found on the ribbon bar? And it creates something like backup of test pictures 23 November 2020. Okay, it'd help if I could spell, but so now I've created a new folder, which is empty at the moment. If I move the cursor over it, you should see that. So it's an empty folder. And I'm going to just take the small test files and copy it across. Copy to backup of test pictures that date. Now, guess what? Tomorrow, when I want to do some more work on my pictures, I go into new folder, I create a folder called backup, and I'm sure you can see where I'm going. And tomorrow's date will be the 24th. Okay, and then assuming this is tomorrow, I can take my test files again and copy them across there. And what I'm actually doing is building up a history of that folder, test files, on specific dates. And if I do something wrong, if I break something or do something silly, I can go back to the backup folder on my flash drive. Everyone comfortable with that?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Elizabeth Homewood has just turned up. I'm going to admit her to the session, but we'll see how that goes. The other thing I wanted to talk about very quickly was a program called Search My Files. Excuse me. I'm going to
Yes, I see you here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm afraid you've missed the best part of the talk, Elizabeth. We'll need to catch up another day.
Yeah, sure. But
Okay.
as I say, no, well, I've been here with my own picture here, and it says you are connected. But it does seem to be something to do with, it says you're the host and the only one.
Yeah, you've actually started your Zoom meeting. We're running out of time here, Elizabeth, so let me just finish off what I'm doing with everyone else.
Yeah, sure.
So, Search My Files is a free program from a very well-regarded company called Nearsoft.
Yes.
I'll have a drink. Elizabeth, we've agreed that I'll do the talking and everyone else will just stay quiet. Okay?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the search options panel for Search My Files. And I shall send it some notes after this meeting. This program will actually look at a folder as selected, and it can do various kinds of search. Standard search, for example, which I'll start now. And this is the results window across here. Actually, it just lists all the files it finds in that folder. 1,843 of them.
Oh,
If I go back to the options field, it can get a bit more useful. There are two different kinds of search. If I do a duplicate search, it will actually look very closely at all of these files. And what it's saying is the contents of these files are identical. So I know I really have duplicates of these pictures. So if, for example, I open this one, that's a picture I took at a friend's barbecue. Do you remember when we used to have barbecues and fun things like that? And it's telling me I've got another copy of it here under a different name. One's called Copy JPG, funnily enough, the other one's just JPG. And if I open this one, and once again, I can do this side-by-side trick. And yes, you can see the duplicate. So I know I can get rid of one of these. Isn't that useful?
Mm.
Now, one little thing here, I said earlier, you are going to have to get down and dirty at some stage, because if I go down to another one of these duplicates, down here it tells you which duplicate set it is, and if it's the first duplicate, the second duplicate, etc. I know that this one here, for example, Spanish locations Arenal, which is identical to this U3A committee lunch 2013 picture. If I open the first one up, okay, and then open the second one up, see how you're going to have to get quite dexterous with your mouse here. Now you can see, yes, these are the same pictures.
yes.
Where you actually have to make a judgment call is I've decided that for my purposes, I do want that picture both in Spanish locations. So if I'm looking for some photos of Arenal, I can find it. And if I'm looking for pictures of the U3A committee lunch, I can find it. So I actually keep it in both places at the same time. Okay, so that's a decision you have to make. If I were a professional archiver, if I said I researched this, I'm kind of going OTT. What I did was I did a Google search. Apparently, professional archivers in this situation would decide that perhaps Spanish locations was the primary location, and under the U3A committee lunch 2013, they would add a note saying, see Spanish locations at Arenal for a copy of this picture. They didn't actually have duplicates. Incredibly, you can do a similar thing with a computer, but that's for the advanced course, I'm afraid. Okay, I had said it would take 30 minutes. We've actually been through here for 35 minutes. I want to just quickly touch upon cloud. Is that okay? Anyone want to hear a little bit about cloud?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Please.
You should have a nice clean desktop with my dogs on it.
yeah, you could say they're nice, yes.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, now you're back to me. There are 4 major cloud providers. Apple have iCloud, Google has Drive, Microsoft has OneDrive, and Dropbox has Dropbox, eponymous name. Generally speaking, but it's very much a question of your choice, but generally speaking, if you are using an Apple product, you probably want to go with iCloud. If you're using Microsoft, you probably want to OneDrive. If you're big on Google stuff, Google Photos, Gmail, etc., you'll want to go with Drive from Google. In other words, the manufacturer or the infrastructure that you feel you do most of your work in, you're probably best to go with the cloud provider from that company. So I'm big on Microsoft Windows, so I use Microsoft OneDrive. General terms, going back to backup, the guidance is you want to have your data in 3 places. You've got your original copy on your phone, on your desktop PC, your tablet, whatever. You want to have backup on a medium such as a flash drive, which we just used there, an external hard disk drive, or perhaps even backed up to CDs and DVDs, which, by the way, are not recommended anymore because we're beginning to find already that, if you like, rewritable CDs and DVDs, ones you can actually burn yourself at home, are already beginning to show signs of deterioration. They don't last forever. But the third place it's useful sometimes to keep their information, of course, is the cloud, because then Apple, Microsoft, Google, Dropbox, whomever, will look after it for you and keep it safe. We all hope anyway. So I can only again tell you what I do. I have all of my information on my desktop PC. I have a big external hard disk drive that everything is backed up to, and then everything goes out to Microsoft's OneDrive in the cloud. Great, I can now access my OneDrive from anywhere. Now I've done this, for example, when we used to have sessions at JCC, I could access some of my files from the cloud at the Javea Bridge Club. But one thing to watch about using a cloud storage as a backup is that it's actually what they call a synchronization service rather than backup. So that if, for example, I have a file called abc.jpg on my desktop and I delete it, and it's stored on OneDrive, OneDrive will notice that it's been deleted and will delete the copy on the cloud as well. So whatever changes you make, either on the cloud or on your desktop PC or wherever, will be replicated at the other end. You may not want this, because if you're using cloud as a backup mechanism, then you actually don't want a delete on your desktop PC, say, deleted on the cloud as well, because then you lose your backup. Do you understand the nuance I'm trying to get at there? The way around that is you actually, once again, create a folder on your OneDrive with today's date or whatever you like, something unique on it, so that then the copy on OneDrive is no longer identical to the one that's on your desktop PC, say, in which case it will not synchronize, but you have a fixed copy as at 23rd of November 2020 out in the cloud. And Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve, when you do another one, the 24th of December, you give it a new name, and once again, so you get this rolling history of your information at a point in time. Now, in case you all think this is pie in the sky and you don't need backups, let me tell you that 2 days ago, I was working on my ebooks, which nightmare. I have 7,500 ebooks and they're a mess. I thought the simple thing was to take a disk which had been given by someone else with 1,000 ebooks on it, and I will re-add it to my management program called Calibre, and any duplicates will be highlighted, and I'll just be left with the ones which I didn't have before. First of all, everything that was on that disk went on to my Calibre, duplicating what was there, because they were recorded in a different format of ebook. Trying to actually get back to where I should have been, I mean, I could have sat there and done 1,000 or so deletes, but I've got better things to do with my life. So I went to one of my backups and I downloaded my Calibre library as at a previous date and started all over again. So backups can be very useful. It's not just if your equipment breaks, you know, we're human, we make mistakes. God, I make mistakes. What can I say? So I'd encourage you to do backups. I'm conscious that's 40 minutes, which is a little bit longer than you were promised. I'm sorry about that. I will send out some notes probably this afternoon. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line. You'll notice that the invite to this meeting came from jccwindowshelp@gmail.com. If you send it to there, I'm the one who picked these messages up. Thank you all very much for coming today. And I think that's about it, really.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.
It's
That
a-
was good. Very useful.
Nice to meet you all.
It's a big subject. We could have taken 2 hours, I think. It's a big subject.
If I'd known that Zoom were actually going to give me extra time without any worries, I could have made it longer.
No,
But they told me it's
That's
enough,
enough.
isn't it?
That's enough in one session, thank you.
Yeah, your heads will be hurting. Mine is. Cup of coffee coming up. Bye-bye.